In the bodybuilding world, very few names hit as hard as Branch Warren's. From the moment he stepped into the sport, he stood out as someone completely different, brutal, intense, and absolutely relentless in everything he did. And it's exactly that unstoppable mindset that still fascinates athletes and fans to this day. Branch didn't reach this status for being the most symmetrical or the most technically perfect. He built his own path. His training style went against every modern handbook, wild, aggressive, and raw. While others chased precision, he chased war. His physique was a perfect reflection of that mentality. Insane muscular density, fibers popping, twisted veins, and of course, the legs that many still consider the best in history. Just looking at his build, you could almost feel the brutality behind every rep he ever pushed. Throughout his career, Branch became the definition of old school. No fancy stuff, no shortcuts, no cute, controlled workouts. It was sweat, noise, weight, and intensity from start to finish. Branch Warren's story begins far from bright stages and golden trophies. Born in 1975 in Tyler, Texas, he grew up in a simple environment, working on a ranch. It was there, under the heat and the heavy routine of country life, that he developed a tough mindset early on. Nothing comes easy, and anything worthwhile demands effort. That beginning shaped the character that would later turn him into one of the most intense athletes in bodybuilding. Everything changed when he was just 14. In a magazine, Branch saw Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom Platz for the first time, and something just clicked. Those massive, muscular, almost unreal physiques completely hypnotized him. Driven by that new dream, Branch started training in Dallas, where the gyms were better. But there was one problem. He didn't even have money to pay for a membership. Most teenagers would have quit, but Branch was never most teenagers. With the help of a friend, he started sneaking into the gym through the back door. Day after day, his obsession with the sport grew stronger. Branch wanted to grow, improve, and build a physique that turned heads. He studied movements, tried new exercises, and trained until he had nothing left. It didn't matter if it was late, raining, or if he was exhausted. He was there, lifting. And that insane level of dedication pushed him toward an even bigger step. Still in high school, he decided to compete for the first time. For many people, getting on stage so young would be bold. For Branch, it was just the beginning. When Branch Warren finally stepped on stage for the first time in 1992, it was obvious something different was happening. He wasn't just a teenager chasing a title. He was a young guy with a commanding presence, determined to show the world what his dedication had created. And sure enough, he won the Teenage Mr. America in both the short class and the overall. It was the first sign that the kid from Texas was here to stay. The next year, Branch came back even better, fuller, harder, more confident. His evolution caught everyone's attention. And once again, he dominated, winning the 1993 NPC Teenage Nationals, taking not just the light heavyweight class, but also the overall. 2 major shows, 2 overwhelming victories. For a lot of athletes, that would have been the peak of their teen years. For Branch, it was just the warm-up. Even in those early years, his trademarks were already clear: absolute focus, iron discipline, and a natural relationship with pain. For him, discomfort wasn't an obstacle, it was fuel. That brutal mentality, which would later become his signature, was already showing its power. He trained like someone who knew exactly what he wanted and refused to let anything stand in his way. With that fierce attitude, it didn't take long for Branch to climb the amateur rankings. Every competition was a chance to prove not just his physique, but his determination. He lived to improve, and that rapid rise caught the attention of athletes, coaches, and judges, who started seeing him as a future pro champion in the making. And that future finally arrived in 2001, when Branch won the NPC Nationals in the heavyweight division, earning his long-awaited pro card. That moment officially marked his entry into bodybuilding's elite. When he finally stepped onto the pro circuit in 2004, he already carried the reputation of being an unstoppable athlete. His debut at the Night of Champions made that obvious. Even going up against seasoned, well-established names, he locked in a solid 8th place. It wasn't a win, but it was more than enough to make people pay attention to that new guy from Texas, showing up with a rugged physique and a rare level of intensity. A few months later, Branch was back on stage at the show of Strength Pro, and his performance hit even harder. By taking fourth place, he made it clear he wasn't just showing up, he was climbing fast, earning his spot, and giving veterans something to worry about. Then came 2005, the year everything changed. Branch showed up bigger, thicker, and carrying a confidence that impressed even the most experienced athletes. That season, he scored his first major wins: the Charlotte Pro, where he dominated completely, and the Europa Super Show, which sealed his rapid rise. Those titles opened the door every athlete dreams of walking through. A qualification for the Mr. Olympia, the biggest stage in the world. At the 2005 Olympia, Branch held his own with another 8th place finish. For a newcomer to the pro ranks, that was an explosion of credibility. In 2006, he shocked everyone again by nearly winning the Arnold Classic, finishing in an impressive 2nd place. But that same year delivered a harsh setback. At the Olympia, he couldn't lock in the conditioning he needed, and his 110 kilograms, about 242 pounds, on a 1.68 frame, about 5 feet 6 inches, didn't hit the same visually. The result was a disappointing 12th place. The year 2007 marked the moment Branch Warren began showing the world he was ready for something bigger. His win at the New York Pro was a turning point, solidifying his spot among the elite. On one of the sport's most iconic stages, Branch presented a brutal combination of density and sheer mass that made one thing clear: he wasn't just competing, he was ascending. But the road wouldn't stay smooth. In 2008, Branch suffered one of the injuries every athlete fears most: a torn triceps. That setback pulled him out of part of the season and could have completely derailed his momentum. For many competitors, an injury like that means an irreversible decline. For Branch, it was just another fight. When he stepped back on stage in 2009, the impact was immediate. Branch looked denser than ever, with a physique that seemed carved out through sheer stubbornness. That year, he claimed 3rd place at the Arnold Classic, proving he was once again a major threat on the circuit. But the best was still ahead, and it hit hard. At the 2009 Mr. Olympia, Branch delivered the greatest performance of his entire life. With razor-sharp conditioning, veins exploding, thick muscle everywhere, and an electrifying stage presence, he shocked the world by claiming 2nd place, the highest placing of his career. That was the moment many fans and experts finally saw him as a legitimate contender for the world title. Branch's showing at that Olympia became legendary, not just for the ranking, but for the energy he brought. It felt like his physique was telling the story of every brutal workout, every setback, every comeback. The years between 2010 and 2012 are what many fans call Branch Warren's golden era. In 2010, he showed remarkable consistency by taking 3rd place at the Arnold Classic and repeating that same result at the Mr. Olympia. It was proof that his historic 2009 season wasn't a fluke. Branch truly belonged among the toughest, most competitive athletes on the planet. But sometimes life tests even the strongest. In 2011, a freak accident nearly changed everything. Branch tore his quadriceps just getting out of a car, a serious injury for anyone, but especially for a guy known for having some of the most monstrous legs in the sport. Against all odds, he returned to the stage that same year. And not only did he return, he won the 2011 Arnold Classic with authority. It became one of the most inspiring comebacks in bodybuilding history. His physique still carried signs of recovery, but his presence, density, and attitude convinced both judges and fans that he deserved the top spot. The only exception was that year's Olympia. Branch chose not to compete due to temporary asymmetry caused by the injury. By 2012, he came back even stronger. It was clear his resilience was on another level. Branch became a 2-time Arnold Classic champion, locking in his place among the greats of his generation. On top of that, he won the Australian Grand Prix, proving his golden phase wasn't temporary. He still wrapped up the season with a solid 5th place at the Mr. Olympia, despite an insanely competitive lineup. That phase showed the very best of Branch Warren: power, grit, and a level of determination that seemed impossible to break. The final competitive years of Branch Warren's career proved that even after more than a decade at the top level of world bodybuilding, he still had plenty left to give. Between 2013 and 2016, Branch stayed firmly among the sport's elite, consistently showing up at the Mr. Olympia and earning placements that kept him among the most respected athletes on the circuit. Finishing repeatedly in the top 6, especially against a generation that grew more brutal every year, said everything about his longevity and consistency. In 2014, Branch unveiled a new level of muscular maturity, taking first place at the Europa Dallas, a win that reignited his name among the season's favorites. At that year's Olympia, he secured 6th place, a strong result in an extremely stacked lineup. Even without repeating his historic podium finishes, Branch kept proving his density, power, and aggressive stage presence. The year 2015 brought another major showcase of resilience. Branch stepped into that year's Arnold Classic and walked away with an impressive 2nd place, once again getting very close to the title. A few months later, he won the Atlantic City Pro, reminding everyone he was still a real threat anywhere he competed. And once again, he ended the season with a 6th place finish at the Mr. Olympia, holding his spot among the best in the world. His final official appearance came at the 2016 Levron Classic in Poland. Even though it wasn't an announced farewell, many fans felt there was something special in that performance. Almost like Branch was closing a chapter that had started decades earlier, back when he was still a teenager. That moment represented far more than an athlete on stage. It symbolized a warrior who had given everything he had to the sport. Interestingly, Branch never officially announced his retirement. He simply didn't return to competition, which fits perfectly with his straightforward, quiet personality. Outside the stage, Warren always kept a simple, grounded personal life built around dedication and strong bonds. He's married to athlete Trish Warren, also a bodybuilder, giving the couple a unique connection. They both understand the heavy routine, the training grind, and the demands of the sport, something that only strengthened their partnership over the years. That relationship became a key part of Branch's balance away from competition. In 2012, the family gained a whole new meaning with the birth of his daughter, Faith Leah. Her arrival brought out a more emotional, softer side of a man mostly known for his brutal training style. Many fans still say that the image of the indestructible giant took on new shades when Branch started sharing moments with his daughter, proving that even the toughest guys have a huge heart. After stepping away from competition, Branch didn't slow down. If anything, he pushed even harder. He jumped into the business world and became an entrepreneur, launching Wicked Cuts Jerky, a premium beef jerky brand that quickly gained popularity across the United States. The company's success showed that his work-hard mentality wasn't limited to bodybuilding. It followed him in everything he did. He also owns a gym in Texas, where he still trains with the same intensity that made him famous. And of course, he's often seen alongside his longtime training partner, Johnny Jackson. Even away from the stage, Branch Warren remains an active, influential, and highly respected figure in the fitness world. When you talk about Branch Warren's training style, you step into territory that's practically legendary. He wasn't just intense, he was almost feral. Branch trained 5 days a week, and every session looked more like a battle than a workout. Nothing was half done. From the warm-up to the very last rep, he gave everything he had, as if every set were a test of both physical and mental endurance. His weekly split was simple, direct, and extremely effective. Monday for back, Tuesday for chest, Wednesday off, Thursday for arms, Friday for legs, and Saturday for lower back and shoulders, closing the week with Sunday off. It was a routine that balanced volume and focus, allowing each muscle group to be pushed right up to its limit. What really made his training iconic was the way he faced the weight. Branch didn't perform reps, he attacked the iron. It was normal to see him drenched in sweat, yelling, exploding with brute force, and pushing every exercise all the way to complete failure. Anyone watching his training sessions felt like they were watching a gladiator fighting for survival, not an athlete simply chasing hypertrophy. That insane intensity wasn't recklessness. In fact, it was the opposite. Branch followed his own philosophy of controlled brutality. He knew exactly how far he could go and understood his body with precision. Prioritizing volume and high reps was his way of building the unbelievable muscular density he became famous for. Long, heavy, exhausting workouts were his trademark, something only a few could keep up with, though many tried to imitate. In that sense, Branch Warren's training style wasn't just a method, it was an identity. It represented who he was on stage and off: determined, aggressive, relentless. And when you talk about Branch Warren, it's impossible not to immediately think of his colossal legs. Many fans and experts still say he had some of the best legs in bodybuilding history, and that reputation didn't come out of nowhere. At certain points in his career, Branch carried over 90 kilograms, about 198 pounds, just in his legs, inside a total stage weight of around 110 kilograms, about 242 pounds. That alone already showed how absurd his structure really was. Besides his legs, another standout feature was his chest. Thick, full, and deeply separated, Branch's chest looked like it had been carved with a sledgehammer, perfectly matching his heavy training style. That insane muscular density became a visual trademark, something that made him instantly recognizable compared to many competitors of his era. But not everything came easily. His biggest struggle was always his back, which took years to catch up to the rest of his body. While his chest and legs blew up impressively, his back demanded far more work. A major part of that development happened inside the legendary Metroflex gym in Arlington, Texas, the same home of Ronnie Coleman. The environment was exactly the kind of place that fit Branch's personality: hot, sweaty, loud, and completely old school. No air conditioning, no fancy modern machines, no soft padded equipment. Just raw iron, worn-out bars, and an atmosphere built for bodybuilding gladiators. And it was in that setting that Branch crafted his brutal style: bars slamming, weights swinging, and zero softness. For him, iron wasn't something you lifted, it was something you attacked. Every rep felt like a battle, and every workout was a test of mental toughness. Branch Warren's diet was just as intense as his training. To sustain a physique that dense and brutal, he needed an eating structure that was equally extreme. He consumed around 500 grams of protein per day, an amount that would make most people quit just thinking about it. That protein intake was the foundation that kept his massive muscle mass growing and recovering. During bulking phases, Branch pushed things even further, hitting around 400 grams of carbs every day. Those carbs were essential to fuel his monstrous workouts, the kind where he literally left everything on the gym floor. In the off-season, he ate up to 3 kilograms, about 6.5 pounds, of chicken per day, rotating cuts and cooking styles just to handle the ridiculous food volume needed to maintain his physique at the top level. But when prep season arrived, everything changed. His diet became extremely strict and repetitive. No variety in meats, no flexibility, just chicken breast every single day with tightly controlled carbs. It was a tiring routine, but absolutely necessary to achieve the dry, grainy conditioning fans expected to see on stage. Besides that, Branch kept other foods as staples: 10 to 20 egg whites a day, different types of fish, potatoes, both white and sweet, and whole grain pasta. Everything was calculated precisely. No guesswork, no off-plan meals. Every dish had a clear purpose. When it came to supplements, Branch Warren always followed a straightforward, no-nonsense approach, exactly like his training. No crazy strategies, no endless lists of products. He focused only on the essentials, the things that actually helped support his brutal training style and heavy eating routine. And as always, simplicity turned into efficiency. One of the foundations of his supplement stack was creatine, essential for strength, explosiveness, and muscle recovery between those brutally intense training sessions. For someone who lived pushing his body to failure, that support wasn't optional, it was crucial. Creatine helped Branch maintain the aggressive standard that defined him in the gym. Another constant in his routine was protein powder, mainly to help him hit the massive daily protein intake he needed. With meals that were already huge, the shakes made it easier to reach his totals without relying even more on solid food, something absolutely necessary to stay consistent throughout the day. Pre-workout formulas were also part of Branch's routine. After all, to survive training sessions that looked like real battles, you needed an extra kick. Those formulas boosted his focus, aggression, and energy, allowing him to walk into the gym with the same intensity the whole world associated with his name. And finally, thermogenics rounded out the stack, especially during contest prep. They helped with caloric expenditure and fat control, making sure Branch stepped on stage with that dense, dry, deeply detailed look that became a signature of his career. When we talk about Branch Warren's personality, we move into a part of the story that goes way beyond muscle and trophies. Over the years, he became one of the most respected and charismatic athletes in modern bodybuilding. His straightforward attitude, his authenticity, and the way he inspired everyone around him made him a truly unique figure. Within the community, he became a symbol of the hardcore lifestyle. For many people, he's the embodiment of everything old-school training represents: sweat dripping onto the floor, pain used as fuel, raw grit to push forward, and an intensity that never seemed to run out. While others chased perfect form, Branch trained with heart, and that won him fans around the globe. Despite his tough exterior, anyone who met him quickly discovered a very human side. Branch was always known for being close to his fans, taking pictures, talking, and creating unforgettable moments for the people who admired him. His booth at expos was always a wonderful kind of chaos. Huge lines, excited crowds, and that energy only he could generate. His legacy in bodybuilding is marked by qualities that are nearly impossible to replicate. His brutal training style, for example, became legendary. Many try to copy it, but very few can actually sustain it. His dense, vascular, heavy physique defined an entire era, and his legs, to this day, are mentioned as the ultimate benchmark for extreme development. It's like every part of his body told a story of sacrifice and dedication. After following this entire journey, it becomes clear that Branch Warren represents far more than giant muscles or violent workouts. He symbolizes dedication, resilience, and the courage to face your limits every single day. And now I want to know, which part of his story inspired you the most? Drop it in the comments, because I love seeing how each person connects in their own way with these legends of bodybuilding. If this video motivated you in any way, make sure to hit that like button. It helps our work more than you can imagine. And if you want to keep following powerful stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because there's a lot of insane content coming your way. Oh, and if you want to support the channel even more, consider becoming a member. Branch Warren showed the world what happens when discipline meets determination. And if you're also on your own journey, physically or mentally, this is the right place to walk that path together. So comment down below and let's talk. Your participation makes all the difference and helps this content reach even more people. Thank you so much for watching all the way through.